Greetings, Stars fans! We are now going through a little rebranding process. We are now the two brothers mic'd up, and this is the Dallas Stars video discussions. As always, we start with past predictions from the last video. Quinn, you said if Dallas were to come on top, it would be a score of 3-2. If Buffalo was to come on top, it was going to be a score of 3-1. I said if Dallas were to come on top, it would be a score of 4-1, or it would be Buffalo with a score of 3-2. Stars win 3-1, now 15-4-0 on the season. Currently tied in first place overall. Now, from the start of the game, we see that Niemi is going to be in net for the Dallas Stars. How did you feel about that game?
I felt pretty good about it. They played a strong game. They played a strong defensive game, and they didn't make as many mistakes as they had in the last game, but you could see that they're starting to come into form.
How did you feel about Niemi going in net over Lettinen?
I felt it was a good choice to get Niemi back in there. You know, he had the loss in Toronto. It's good to bring him back, get him a win, and give Lettinen a rest. I feel like they should put Lettinen in for the next game, though.
Now, did you not feel like, since Lettinen was going on such a... He was pretty much on a hot start as of right now. Did you think that why not ride the hot goaltender as of yet? Or did you feel like Buffalo would be a good shot for Niemi to really get back in, maybe get some confidence?
I felt it was good for Niemi to get back in, to get to do confidence.
Now, within a minute of the game, we see Dallas going and really starting to take it to Buffalo. Just right off the jump, we see within a minute Nuke coming over and getting his second goal of the season. And how we know we've talked a lot about how Nichushkin was not playing up to his potential at the beginning of the season. How did you... He's really starting to come in his own in these games, especially as of late with his more physical play. How did you feel about his goal?
It was good to see him out there. He as the Razor said, he starts it out. He's using his legs to start getting that goal and starting getting that moving. And Roussel with that little touch pass to him opens him up for that goal.
Yeah, you see Nichushkin take the puck over there into the corner, and then you also see that Tyler Ennis, I think he's got to be one of the shortest players in the league, tries to deal with Nichushkin's size and strength over there in the corner. And then you see Nichushkin kind of just roll off Tyler Ennis and make his way towards the net where he should be going. You want that big body in front of the net as much as possible to create those scoring chances. And a good job from Roussel as well for tying up his man in front of the net and really going to their defense and causing the kind of mass confusion going on in front of the Sabres goalie. Now, from the jump of the whistle, you see the Stars really starting to play with their tempo. The Stars are playing high speed, real up-tempo pace, but then you see the Sabres start taking control of what the momentum would be for about a good part of the game. How did you feel Dallas played in the beginning of the first period, and how did you feel they started playing towards the end of the first period?
It feels like they had a lot of jump in the first period. It kind of seemed to me like Buffalo was either they were setting a trap for Dallas to come out into the second period, or I don't know what they were doing, but they had no jump to their game.
Yeah, it really felt like Dallas started getting tired there in the later parts of the period, which is kind of confusing because they just had 2 days off. So hopefully that goes into a fact that maybe they were kind of not taking Buffalo for granted, but kind of thinking it was going to be a cakewalk because it was Buffalo. Hopefully that's not the case. Maybe it's just a little lull going back onto the road. Going into what we saw from the rest of the game, that you see Niemi, you see him coming in, and I kind of didn't like that Niemi was coming back in, but he really came in and really started controlling his rebounds. I think this is one of his better games to where he controlled his rebounds really well. He didn't let anything really go. He was catching a lot of things in his glove. He was seeing pucks really well. And I think that actually contributed to the factor of Buffalo really trying to set things to the pace that they wanted to. They didn't want to play Dallas straight up. They didn't want to run and gun with Dallas. No team, I think, ever really wants to go up against Dallas man to man straight up, because I don't think a lot of teams' speed really match the Dallas Stars. And you could tell that because overall this whole game had 75 face-offs. That's including icings, that's including any kind of stoppage. When you have that amount of face-offs, that really breaks down into how I feel teams are going to start scouting the Stars by taking away that speed. How did you feel Buffalo was really starting to take away the speed of Dallas?
They played that man-on-man coverage, and they played that trap through the neutral zone. And whenever you do that, you can cut off a lot of speed from a lot of teams.
Yeah, the way Buffalo was playing was kind of reminded me a lot of how the Toronto games were going. They did that real strong suffocation type plays to where you couldn't really set anything up. They took away a lot of the neutral zone. They took away a lot of the time that Dallas really takes to really set up to spread out the offense. You could tell that because with the way the first period and pretty much the whole game, the hits in this game were 25-11 in favor of the Sabres.
Not surprising.
It's not surprising because I like the way the Sabres are coached. They have a great coach. I've always liked Dan Bialsma. I thought he was pretty good in Pittsburgh. And when it came time for the Stars to really start looking for another coach, I really liked the thought of Bialsma coming to Dallas and implementing his system into what Dallas could produce, because of the way his Pittsburgh Penguins were playing. It seemed like Dallas could kind of be set up the same way that Pittsburgh could have. And I mean, he's a Stanley Cup winning coach, so I don't know. What are your takes on Dan Bialsma?
My takes on Dan Bialsma is, I mean, he was a good player, so he's a player turned coach, so he knows the game. So that's always good to get out of a coach. He's been there, he's played the game, he knows where players should be, and I think he did a good job with Pittsburgh.
You can tell that his fingerprints are all over this team, just of how positionally sound they really are. Granted, this team is a new team. It's being pretty much changed over from all of last season, because I think Buffalo had that mantra going through a lot of its fans for tank for McDavid, that they were in contention to go for Connor McDavid, and then got the second round pick with Jack Eichel. How did you feel about Jack Eichel in this game?
It seemed like he had his chances, but he wasn't really known in the game.
You know what? Jack Eichel really reminds me a lot of, I mean, I know it's early in his career, but he reminds me a lot of a bigger Patrick Kane. Just the way he likes to come through the zone. He likes to do those fancy moves. He's good with his hands. I think on the projection scale, I think he has a strong upside to him. And the way the Buffalo Sabres are really going, I think it's proving that he can really start to blossom under Dan Biasma.
Yeah, he's a good player. I know they wanted Connor McDavid, but I mean, look at Connor McDavid now. He's hurt and out for a while, so that could have been their pick that they lost right there.
No, very true. Going into the second period, how did you feel about Dallas's defense and how they were playing in this game?
They played a really strong physical game, which is always good to get from our defense, and it just shows that we can hang with the tougher teams when it counts. But man, in that second and third period, they started getting back into their old ways, started slipping up positioning. Luckily, they kept it together to get the win. But there's still those slight holes in their positioning.
And the one thing that I really liked about this game was that the Stars were actually playing smart within the rules of the game. They weren't taking a lot of those bad penalties that seemed to have plagued Dallas in the early part of the game, but that is until we get to the third period where we see Jamie Benn take another questionable penalty. Now, I love Jamie Benn. I am proud that he is the captain of the Dallas Stars, but any Dallas Stars fan knows that Jamie Benn can sometimes do those boneheaded things that you just kind of shake your head and go, really? Like, you really needed to do that? I understand his frustration with the player that was just right on top of him and probably wasn't going to get off of him. But what's the first thing that you're really told in competitive playing of hockey? It's that the retaliatory gesture is always the one that's going to get called. I mean, growing up when we were playing hockey, was that not one of the first things that you're told, is that
oh yeah,
when you retaliate, that's when the penalty starts coming? And that's usually, a lot of the time, Jamie Benn is the retaliatory person coming in.
Yeah. What we need to do is start, just getting the penalties down. As you can see, Goligoski takes another boneheaded penalty and shoots it right out of position, right out into the stands. I'm sure he didn't mean to, but a simpler play with the puck would have sufficed, and the puck stays in.
Oh yeah, true. And when you take penalties the way that Dallas seems to be doing it, it's the not smart penalties that are catching up to this team. It's the retaliatory ones. It's the ones that you know that shouldn't be being made. It's like a disease. When those things start happening, they will just start piling on. Especially whenever your penalty kill has not been as good as it has been in seasons before this. I mean, the Dallas Stars cannot afford to really take any kind of penalties that's going to set them back, especially in a 1-0 game or a 2-0 game. 2-goal leads are the worst leads in hockey. So it's something that Dallas, as of right now, it seems that Dallas needs to be a team that has to play clean. They can't take penalties. They just can't. Because, I mean, I know Razor was saying last night, it's that, yes, Dallas's penalty kill has been down, but when the Stars need a kill, they get the kill. It right now, it shouldn't even come to the fact that they're needing a kill. They need to play smart hockey. Granted, I mean, it's to the discretion of the refs how penalties are going to come, but we need to start playing a little smarter within our zone, and it's, I mean, in all zones really, but the retaliatory stuff needs to be calmed down. As we see in this game, we get the news that Fatska is going down back to the AHL, and Eves is coming back into the lineup. How did you feel he played overall?
I think he played great. Whenever he goes out with an injury, you usually see him come back in his first game playing big. Like he gets, I don't know, maybe like what, three goal chances throughout his play that last night.
He had one really good chance there in the second period. He was all alone. You could tell that his timing was kind of down. You know, you could tell that there's some rust on the player that, you know, he catches the goalie going the same way. It's kind of like the Cody Eakin shot that he had last game. He just catches the goalie to be sliding the way that he's shooting. Eves had a really good chance. A thing that I'd like to highlight is in the second period on Fiddler's line, they had two great chances, kind of back to back. You had the Colton Sevier 2-on-1 where Colton Sevier puts his head down like at the last second. He doesn't keep his head up for the whole way, and in that split second that he puts his head down, the defender comes and slides over and takes away the pass, or he takes away the shot, and it's just one of those things that you need to keep your head up the whole way. And following that, a play later, you see Colton Sevier taking the puck towards the corner and dumps it back out front, and Fiddler is there, and he doesn't have his stick on the ice. It's one of those things that, again, you're taught. These are the fundamentals of hockey, that you need to keep that stick on the ice. I mean, no other way is that puck going to go in if your stick isn't on the ice. So it's those little things that whenever the Stars are getting hurried and when the pace isn't going their way, I feel as if they start falling into those little lulls that they did last season. That it's the hurried upness. It's whenever a team really starts to not outplay, but really just takes the body and really suffocates them down in their zones, that the Stars turn into this just frantic team that doesn't know what to do with the puck. They just try to dump it off and hope that their problems go away, but it's never the case for that. I would like to see them really take the time, and whenever they're around the net getting it out, they need to take that extra second and not just dump the puck away, but look where your player is, get it to him, and get it out of the zone.
That's like what I keep going back to every time is the panic that seems to ensue with Dallas. That whenever they get that suffocation game played on them, they just panic and can't seem to make the right play.
No, yeah, it's something that goes back to last season, and it's something that will be highlighted every time it happens, because I feel as if that, I mean, we're 19 games into the season. As of right now, the Stars are 15-4, but the two of those losses, I think, is what teams are really going to go back to. And actually, some of the wins that Dallas played, especially like the Minnesota game, it's teams are really going to start scouting the Stars and seeing that you take away their lanes, you take the body on them, and they turn into a hurried mess into their own zone. It's something that's why I feel as if this Stars team is a very good team and not a great team. They're not playing the full 60 the way that we feel that they can actually play. But enough on the negative. The Stars actually cleaned up their giveaways. They were only credited with 5 giveaways, which is outstanding. And especially in a game like this, to where you would think that there'd be giveaways and turnovers all over the place. It really wasn't the case. It was just a lot of just being in the zone. I mean, whenever your top 2 scorers in Jamie and Tyler are combined for 3 shots, that tells you everything you need to know about how the game was played. That, the lanes just weren't there. Well, Jamie did hit a post, so that doesn't go for his shot total.
Boy, did he hit that post.
I know. Well,
check for dings in that thing.
That was a post that Ben should have scored on, because you could tell that Jamie didn't like taking the penalty that he did, so it looked like something that he was so determined to get that goal. But you know what? Credit the Sabres goalie in being just lucky all around, Especially with his glove. His glove made 3 saves that should not have been saves. It was those little... That little extra padding around like the toe of the glove and the little paddings around the sides of the glove that kept the puck out on great chances from the Dallas Stars. Now, going in, let's talk about something that has become kind of a regular thing with the Stars here recently, is the coach's challenge. Now, did you realize the play was offsides from the get-go, or were you just like, oh, yeah, that's a goal?
Well, I think that from the angle that the camera showed us, I wouldn't have even had the slightest notion that it was offsides. That's just one of those things that those visual coaches, the ones that have the teleprompters in front of them, that are up in the high stands, those are the guys that get paid to see that, and that was a good catch on them.
Yeah. And I was watching some of the post-game reactions from the Buffalo's commentators, in that they actually credited Goligoski for whenever he left the penalty box, he was the first one over there telling him, look, you need to check and see if that was offsides, because I think Goligoski was screaming it was offsides from the get-go. Now, coach's challenge. I still am in the camp that this is a great thing to have in the game.
Yeah, especially if it helps us win the game.
Yeah. Now, Buffalo, they have been on the wrong end of 3 of these coaches' challenges. But listening to Dan Bialsma, his post-game interviews, that Dan Bialsma said it perfectly. He says he likes the coach's challenge because the calls are getting called right. It's in a league that people are screaming there needs to be more scoring. He was asked that if he thinks the coach's challenges should really be in the league that wants more offense, and he inadvertently, without question, said yes. It's these games matter. No matter how early in the season they are, calls like that ultimately determine the game, because if there's no coach's challenge on that, it's a 2-2 game. And you know what? The Stars could have easily have lost this game if that had gone against them, because all the momentum had shifted from their side with the Goligoski goal and back to the Buffalo side, tying it up late. So, I mean, and another note, Niemi's first win against Buffalo. He was previously 0-3-1, and quite ironically, with the coach's challenge, Lindy Ruff gets a goal reviewed and goes in his favor, dating back to the Stanley Cup Finals. Overall, what did you rate this game?
I would rate it a nice B plus. They played hard. They played to the puck. It's just that they need to work on not being so panicked on whenever teams start putting the pressure on heavy. They need to just take a breath, take that extra second, make the pass, and just calm it down. Play their game, use their skill and their speed, because all teams are going to do is just try to run them over.
Yeah. I also gave a rating of B+. I liked how Niemi came in and played. I think I grade a lot of this game on the back of him. The style of game that Buffalo played in this game really showed some weaknesses for Dallas. So I think Dallas needs to get more physical when the playing calls for it. Stars go up against the Washington Capitals. What are your predictions for that?
Oh man, Ovechkin versus Sagan. That's what I feel like the it's going to come down to. Who gets more shots? Who gets more goals? I feel if Dallas comes on top, it'll be on the backs of Jamie Benn and Tyler Sagan. It'll be a hard fought game, but I think those two will get back into form against Washington and put them close up. I say 4-3. And if Washington comes back, it's going to be on the back of Ovechkin and Backstrom and their new rookie. I say it's 5-2.
Interesting. So you say the Stars win a close game, but then if the Caps win, it's going to be because it's kind of a blowout.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say if the Stars win, it's going to be a score of 4-2. And then I think it'll be on the back of also Jamie Benn, Tyler Seguin. These are the games that your top scorers and top performers will have to play. If Lettinen is in net, he should have a good game just of how all around he's been playing. But if he has an off night, I have a feeling it's going to be a bad off night. And I'm going to say it's a score of 4-0 against...
Calling that shutout for him.
Calling a shutout because the Capitals are also a hot team. They're 11-4-1. So I think if Washington has a good game, they're going to come out and really shine. But the Stars they won the season series last season, going 2-0. But those are the predictions. Remember to comment, like, subscribe, share anywhere you want. Remember that this video series is a series from fans to fans. And as always, remember to tune in next time.